Oh my God. Hi folks, welcome back to my channel. You know, if you're a fan of mine and you've been watching my channel for a little while now, you've probably seen me play a few guitar solos. Perhaps you've seen me play this solo. Maybe you've seen me play this solo. Maybe you've seen me play a little bit of this solo right here. Maybe I've thrown a little bit of this at you. How about a little bit of this, huh? Now, for the skilled listener, you will notice a certain similarity there, a certain habit I have formed as a guitar player. And you may be asking yourself, is that on purpose? Am I trying to create a theme? Am I trying to create a certain sound over the course of many different solos? Yes. It's all been planned. All of it. No, the problem is that I am a self-taught guitarist, as this channel used to be called, also because I have a chip right here. I have many limitations as a guitarist. I'm very good in certain ways. I've learned these kind of spasmy hand motions, where I can play certain pentatonic riffs and certain other modal riffs very, very quickly. But I can't play other things quite as quickly. I've kind of fallen into these traps, and it's made my playing a little pedantic, a little predictable, a little boring. I've learned a lot of bad habits as a guitar player, and then I need to confront them. Should I do like a Rodney Dangerfield thing and go back to college as a guy in my late 30s and like, start trying to date the professors and things and become... No, that's not cool. Also, when I was in college, we had a guy there that was in his 30s, and he, in retrospect, was really lame. And he wasn't a professor. He was just like a guy. He was like living with somebody there. I'm not going to go into it. Now, there are a lot of different guitar teachers on YouTube, and a lot of them are very, very good and have their own systems, like an entire system where like you embrace the system and you kind of start from scratch, or even if you're an intermediate or advanced, you can kind of adopt their system into your playing. Now, for a variety of reasons, many of them involving my age, maleness, and again, just kind of a chip on the shoulder, a lot of sunk cost. I am unwilling to adopt a new system at this time, but I am willing to confront some of the old bad systems that I've been using. Also, I don't want to give away anybody's content or anything like that. I designed this program for guitar players like me, people who've been playing for a long time, who've gotten into some bad habits, and maybe don't necessarily want to spend 3 or 4 hours a day practicing to unlearn them, because it seems so daunting. Especially if you learn a bad habit early on as a guitarist, it seems like it might take a really long time to unlearn it. And we all know that anybody who spends 8 hours a day practicing guitar will get better. But what happens if you spend 20 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day? Will you see marked improvement? I did that. For the last 30 days, I have done one of these videos. When it started, it took me an hour. The first day it took me an hour to do them. Eventually, it wound down to about 15 to 20 minutes. And it improved my playing in a few very drastic ways. But we'll get into that shortly. But first, how did I decide on the teacher? Well, basically, there are a lot of great teachers on YouTube. But I went with Tomo Fujita. And I went with him for a few reasons. One is that he has a lot of really terrific students. People like Michael Lemo, John Mayer, Tyler Larson, and a number of others that I'm neglecting to say. He has a bunch of amazing students on his channel where they just have some great jam sessions. I'll really recommend that to you. Also because he's very guileless. He seems very honest.
See, hard work is kind of easy. You just do it. But that's not good enough for me. You do hard work, but you have to still think a little bit more better.
He has this way, like he doesn't have any digital effects. He'll literally hold pieces of paper up to the screen for like a chromatic exercise that he's teaching you. I just love the kind of honesty of that. The video is literally called "Do This Routine Every Morning to Get Shredded, 5 Great Guitar Techniques." And I thought it'd be a great idea to do this and to see how far I got along for 30 days, because this really was the inspiration behind this idea. So I will be judging these routines on a few different criteria. 1, are they useful? 2, are they challenging / are they repeatably challenging? Because maybe they're challenging the first day, but then the next day you just got it and it's not really a great exercise anymore. 3, would I put it into my actual morning practice routine? And the 4th criteria, of course, will be, is it fun? Now, the chromatic scale I had been taught before was 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is a great mix up of that.
So the patterns I play, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4.
It goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, I believe. I'm pretty dyslexic as it's a huge problem for me. I don't know if I'm actually dyslexic, but it's really difficult for me just to learn specific fingerings because I've been playing, from the hip for so long. It really took me a while. That probably took me the longest. That exercise alone probably took me about 25 minutes. To get it down, because you have to go up and then you have to go down.
And then you're going down, backward.
And going down, I was like, I was like ready to quit. I was ready to not even do this whole series of videos.
This would be impossible.
I got better at it the next day. By the next day, I was so much better, I had basically halved my time. That's the first and most major lesson, I think, from this whole experience, was how the first day you do something, you sleep on it, the next day you come back, you are going to be much better. So it was a real encouraging kind of lesson for me to say, okay, if I can't do this today, if I'm not perfect at this today, if I do it today, if I get through it, tomorrow I will come back and I will literally be much, much better. And that was always the case. Now, I did get to a point where my progress began to slow because I had gotten better, but I was still progressing every day. I got pretty good at this, where I was going up to like 200 beats per minute. So I decided to do it like this. I go up 5 on the E string, down 5 on the A string, up 5 on the D string, down 5 on the G string. So that I would have that added craziness, that added confusion. And that was the hardest way I could do it. And I found that to be the most kind of reliably challenging and kind of the best way to start off the morning practice routine for me. I don't think I would ever go back to the other kind of chromatic myself. This is a great way, I found, to start off my morning practice routine, because it's not too challenging, but it is challenging. It wakes up my brain. It wakes up your fingers. Always, stretch your fingers out beforehand. The second exercise was and is the bane of my existence.
Okay, number 2, we do this one, crazy chromatic. Very simple. Bottom, you do 1, 2, 3, 4. Top, you do 3, 4, 1, 2.
Oh, okay.
And then when you're going down, 4, 3, 2, 1, the bottom. And the top notes, 2, 1, 4.
I don't know what this is. Holy shit, this is going to be a long video. Basically, I thought of it as like power chords with my index finger and ring finger, then a power chord with my middle finger and pinky, then the inverse of that coming down. Now, this was the most frustrating exercise of all of them because it was the most difficult to do. And it was the one that I had the most trouble with throughout. But I gained the most throughout my ability to do it. Not only do you have to focus, not only is it really hard to get clean placement of the fingers up and down the neck. Same thing goes, obviously, for the individual plucking version. We do the first where we just go bump, 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 and then we do bon-ding, 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 ba-dink.
Alternate.
It's mostly useful for really learning how to get clean placement of that pinky and middle finger, which are my kind of weakest fingers. Really starting to have them work in unison with each other rather than just so often I'll just kind of get my pinky out of the way. I consider these two exercises together. They are very, very difficult, but they are also probably the most valuable exercise of the bunch for me. For me, anyway, it's useful because it really works those fingers that are my kind of weak spots and where I just feel less secure. And when I kind of find myself into a pentatonic hand trap or whatever, it'll often be, the pentatonic fingers, index and ring. So I'm just trying my best not to give you guys a middle finger today. Now, these are the first 3 exercises I was able to get through on the first day in about an hour. The second day in about a half hour. Like I said, each one I improved over greatly, having been able to sleep on it for one night. And it's from this point on where I was doing this in about 15 minutes where I decided to start adding the remainder of the exercises, except for his classical thing, which is way beyond my level.
Classical piece, I learned this when I was a student.
It's a dream. One day I'll be able to do it. But the third exercise really was welcome, especially after that finger stretchy one, because it really is a lot of fun, and it's really quick and funky.
There you go.
Basically, it's just a funky little E7 loop. And you find yourself in a very recognizable groove, and it really lightens it up. So it's not so hard and tedious to do, your morning routine. It can also be fun because guitar is about having fun and about creating music. The tricky part about it is staying in the pocket, staying quick, staying funky, and playing those little notes, going from the chord E7 over to those little notes. For me, it's really hard because I play with my fingers. Now, I don't know if this is harder or easier for people who play with their fingers. It's harder for me to go from strumming to plucking. And while it isn't nearly as challenging as some of the other exercises, it's extraordinarily useful because of my specific inability to go from strumming to plucking very quickly and then back to strumming. It's a really it's a marvelous sounding technique, and it's something I've been jealous of for a long time, and it really addresses that. But I would recommend putting something fun and funky in the center of your practice routine every morning so that you remind yourself, oh yeah, this is fun. And look at my improvement here. The next skill we added was major scale by thirds.
Right, like that.
So this is also my first day doing this took me a really long time, first couple days actually. That's tough. Oh my God, that's so tough. Okay. I know the major scale, but it was a very useful exercise for me initially because it confused my knowledge of the major scale and really starts getting my ear attuned to those intervals within the major thirds of the major scale. Sonically, it was really cool to play every day and hear myself get better at it. By the end, I was doing it pretty quickly, and focusing on it, I can go pretty quickly. I mean, it really was becoming another muscle memory technique. He talks about it in the video that he doesn't want people to do too many major scale-based practice routines because it does lend itself to muscle memory traps.
While I'm playing this one, I'm already thinking I shouldn't do this one because that sounds like very much exercise. Like that, technical exercise. Once you reach, you can play. I tell my students, don't practice anymore because it sounds like exercise.
Is it useful? Yes. I found it very useful just to kind of get more familiar with the various intervals within the major scale. Is it fun? Yes. Was it challenging? Yes. Very challenging for me. Would I include it in my practice routine going forward? Probably not. But I would definitely include a major scale or two based routines. I just want to switch it up all the time. And one thing that he does in this routine with the next routine is he does do, re, mi, do, which is another major scale routine, which actually confuses your fingering from the previous one.
Do, re, mi, do.
And I would always be about 5 to 10 beats per minute slower on do, re, mi, do than I was on major scale in thirds. Now it confuses the muscle memory you've just gone with. So it is very, very useful in that way. And over time, you get better at both of them. I'd include do, re, mi, do in my morning routine, but again, I'd want to change it. I'd want to, make it more complex, or maybe change the scale. Maybe you go Mixolydian one day, whatever it is, or that's a great place to augment and change your practice routine to keep yourself on your toes, or on your fingers, as it were. Now, last but not least was the bebop blues progression.
A 1, a 2, a 1, a 2, 3, 4. Here you go. Now jazz blues. So 2, 5. So very important. Strum wider, like that. Diminish.
This is probably the least exciting of the 5 different routines that he teaches. One, it's a lot slower. We have a very specific rhythm throughout. 2, it's not a noodling exercise or a soloing exercise as much as it's a rhythm guitar exercise. 3, it was probably the most consistently challenging altogether. It's a great one to have at the end for me because I don't really play those fingerings a lot. And so getting used to them was really, really challenging. Especially just learning the rhythms and making it sound easy. These are 4 individual placed fingers moving at the rate that I would normally move 1 or 2 fingers. It was so difficult to just kind of stay in that rhythm and land flush on those places I needed to land on the fretboard. I didn't just improve overnight with it. It took me a long time to get even basically decent at it. It's a great exercise to have at the end of my morning routine because it really kind of establishes where I am in relationship to all my skills, because it challenges all my skills. It challenges my rhythm. It challenges, my finger placement. It challenges my focus because I'm have to remember all the fingerings of all these weird chords that I've, known, peripherally, but just never have tried to actually make my main staple chords. So for that, the bebop blues, is it useful? Yes. Is it challenging? Yes. Is it fun? No. All I want to do is speed up and go back to the funky style thing, the E7th funky style thing from before. Hey, there you are. Welcome back, guys. It's been over a month since I last filmed for this video. I've just had a lot of other things that I've been putting out on my channel. But I just wanted to talk about the overarching lessons that I learned from doing this practice routine for the 30 days that I did it. And just some of the takeaways that I have being a guitar player who's learned a lot of bad habits, who wants to unlearn those bad habits. It has really actually, just in my soloing, when I'm writing something, when I'm just noodling around, when I'm playing against a backing track, I find myself much more engaged with my own playing. You get in this hand trap where you kind of have this kind of Hendrix grip where you're in the minor, the 7th minor, and you can just find all those great little pentatonic riffs so easily just by dropping that finger down. What I think I've really been doing recently is finding myself trying to find those blues licks again, but staying with the 4-finger pattern, staying with the, as if I was going to run up and down those scale lengths again. So because I'm not constantly trapped, I'm trying to get myself out of the habit of playing with my hands like this. I'm kind of finding myself falling out of those same traps. I think that's been really, really helpful. The main thing I will say that it achieved is I now have a morning routine for guitar. Having my morning caffeine and do a 15-20 minute warm-up. They say if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. I did it for 30. I think it kind of helped me cement that habit. And now it's kind of like, making your bed, brushing your teeth. You just try, you don't have to spend the whole day playing guitar. But take 15 minutes, take 20 minutes, and see if you can't address some of the habits that you're finding yourself getting into as a player. Anyway, that's my feeling. I really hope you guys continue to pursue your journey as guitarists as I am continuing. And let me know how you're doing, what works for you, routines that you've used to break bad habits of your own, things you might think might help me, etc. And until next time, keep playing.